Welcome to stage 1 in your exploration of the results to the American version of the Community and Belonging Survey of Students. My purpose in this presentation is to give you an easy on the eyes introduction to the analysis of findings report, which should be your next step in the exploration. Welcome aboard. Between late October and early December, the survey questionnaire was completed by almost 18,000 students at 80 American schools enrolled in grades 9 through 12. Given the population of about 300,000 high schoolers attending accredited independent schools in the United States, this is a huge sample providing for a very good confidence level. The breakdown by grade of enrollment provides us with an excellent opportunity for making comparisons across the grades. Similarly, we prepared a full set of graphs crossing every answer in the survey by tenure with the school. A comparison was made of all answers to this survey crossed by gender of respondents. You'll see a number of slides in this presentation detailing some of those distinctions. 3,285 respondents identified as members of the LGBTQ2S+ community. 848 respondents chose not to answer this question. A full set of graphs was prepared comparing answers crossed by racial cultural identity. A full set of graphs was prepared comparing all answers in the survey crossed by time spent on homework. I'd suggest that you pay particular attention to those graphs, some of which you're going to see a little bit later in this presentation. We asked students how much time they spend each day on social media. Their answers are frightening. As you can see here, they spend a lot of time on social media. They're even more frightening when we cross-tab them with other questions in the survey, and you're going to see some of that a bit later in this presentation. 19% of respondents indicated that they receive outside tutoring support other than extra help provided by the school. A comparison was made of this group to the counterpart. Just 10% of respondents reported that they sleep on average more than 8 hours on school nights. This particular question has provided us with excellent opportunity for cross-tabulated comparisons, yielding some very interesting and hopefully useful output. Students were asked to indicate their level of general satisfaction with the school. You can see the distribution of their answers in the bottom left of your screen, making for a weighted average score of 3.7 on the 5-point scale. 66.5% of respondents scored their overall satisfaction with the student experience at a 4 or a 5 on this scale. This question forms the basis for much of the dissecting analysis, and you'll see a good number of slides shortly on this breakdown. Aside from the general satisfaction measure, we included 30 other rating type measures in the survey on the scale from 1 to 5. 15 of them were attitudinal agreement statements. Strongly disagree is a 1, strongly agree is a 5. 3 is neither agree nor disagree. These are the first 5. I'm not going to read through them other than to tell you that I've been using these measures in comprehensive student surveys for most of the last 25 years. Here's the next group of 5 measures in the attitudinal agreement series. I'll just give you a moment to read through them. I'll make no comments here, but I'll have plenty to say when we get to the crosstab discussion a bit later in the presentation. These are the final 5 in the series of 15 attitudinal measures included in the survey. I'd like to make a shout out to my dear friend Kevin Plummer at Tampa Prep, who contributed the 2nd and 3rd measure from the top. I've never asked these two. These are the only 2 in the survey that I haven't used in prior surveys. I can tell you that they were very useful, and you're going to see some of that use in the crosstabs, both here and elsewhere in the results. Typically, in our comprehensive student surveys, we ask students to rate their own preparedness across a list of 20 to 25 skills. We've trimmed that for the purpose of this community and belonging survey to a list of 15, and they're presented here in descending rank order. And here is the second set of 5 measures in self-appraised preparedness. And the final set of 5 in the self-reported preparedness series. Note the bottom 4 ranks: organizing time, handling stressful situation, choices that support my emotional well-being, and conducting myself with confidence. I'm going to talk about those again at a later time in this presentation. 22% of respondents indicated that they have been personally affected by experiences of discrimination at school. A full comparison throughout all answers in the survey is appended and detailed later in this report. From a provided list, discrimination on the basis of race scored head and shoulders above all others. And here's the bottom of that list. A full comparison was made, crossed by region of the various schools participating in the survey. The West is defined as everything west of the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Kansas. Similarly, a comparison was drawn of different school types: single-sex boys, single-sex girls, and co-ed. To ensure an adequate cell size for this comparison, boarding schools and schools that are both day and boarding were grouped as one in a comparison with schools that were day only. At the initiation of my friend Jeff Mitchell from Curry Ingram Academy, 14 schools that specialize in learning differences participated in the survey, and a separate report has been pulled for that group. A full set of graphs crossed by the population, not the sample group, but the population of grade 9 to 12 students at schools is appended. A full set of graphs is appended, crossed by the proportion of a school's students indicating membership in the LGBTQ2S+ community. This is the beginning of the presentation of results from cross-tabulations. This first section deals with the general satisfaction question. On the 5-point scale, 5,887 scored their overall satisfaction as a 1, a 2, or a 3. 8,417 scored it as a 4. 3,257 as a 5. From this particular graph, you can see that among the most satisfied of students on the far right, there's a disproportionate representation by grade 9 students. That's a typical finding. The number of years at a school is inversely associated with reported overall satisfaction. Mind you, this is skewed meaningfully by the grade level, and it's not an unusual distinction. A common, though not universal, finding: greater satisfied respondents are more likely to be male students. Of no surprise, those students who indicate that they spend more than 3 hours on average each day on homework are much greater in representation among the lesser satisfied of students. That's a universal finding. Those greater satisfied in their school experience on average spend less time on social media. Definitely going to see more on that a bit later in the presentation. Likely of no surprise, those who are lesser satisfied overall are meaningfully more likely to receive tutoring from outside of school. Also, no surprise, and this is a universal finding in student surveys that I've conducted, those who report lesser overall satisfaction indicate in much greater proportion that they sleep less than 6 hours on school nights, and there's lots more to talk about on this subject as well. Comparing lesser, moderate, and most satisfied of students generally across attitudinal agreement, recall there were 15 attitudinal agreement measures: strongly agree, strongly disagree. These 5 most distinguish lesser from greater overall satisfaction, and with meaningful linearity. Cross-tabbing general satisfaction with self-appraised preparedness yields some very interesting distinctions. Note the first 4 on the left: making choices that support my emotional well-being, organizing time effectively, handling stressful situations, and conducting myself with confidence. You should recall from the treatment of the total response group earlier in this report, those were the 4 that fell to the bottom of the overall ranking. Here they rise to the top in the list of measures that most distinguish lesser from greater overall satisfaction. That represents a double opportunity. Of the 3,285 respondents who identify themselves as members of the LGBTQ2S+ community, 61.4% also identify as female. Those who identify as members of the LGBTQ2S+ community offer much lesser agreement with the statement, "I feel emotionally safe while at school." This group also offers lesser agreement with the statement, "I feel a strong sense of belonging at the school." And they appraise themselves as significantly lesser prepared for each of these skills. Members of the LGBTQ2S+ community report in twice the proportion having experienced discrimination at school. This is only one slide, but there could be 15 or 20 more. There's so much data that stands behind this statement. I would encourage you strongly to look closely at the ranked correlation coefficient tables and the mini PowerPoint presentations that are attached. There are meaningful distinctions for each of these comparisons for you to review. I give you the same recommendation for the list of 15 self-appraised preparedness measures. Look to the ranked correlation coefficient tables and the PowerPoint presentations that are attached to them. Notably, those students who agree with the statement, "I am passionate about the study of at least one subject," spend less time on social media. Those who agree with the statement, "I feel capable of handling the day-to-day academic workload," are also disproportionately represented by male respondents. This is a common finding. Of no surprise, those who feel capable of handling the day-to-day academic workload sleep better. Another typical finding: those who agree with the statement, "I feel emotionally safe while at school," are more likely to be male than female. Respondents who agree with the statement, "I feel respected and valued at school," are in significantly lower proportion students who identify as members of the LGBTQ2S+ community. Those students who agree with the statement, "I feel respected and valued at school," sleep better. In like fashion, those who agree with the statement, "My school experience has helped me learn to engage constructively with people holding different perspectives from my own," also sleep better. Also a typical finding: those who report greater preparedness for themselves in handling stressful situations are significantly more likely to be male students. As one might guess, those who consider themselves well prepared for handling stressful situations get more sleep. Students who indicate having been affected by experiences of discrimination at school are much less in agreement with each of these displayed statements. A typical finding, progression through the grades brings with it more time spent on homework. Agreement with the statement, I am passionate about the study of at least one subject, rises with progression through the grades. And also with the statement, there is at least one trusted adult I can talk to at school. Self-appraised preparedness for adapting to face new challenges rises with progression through the grades, as does preparedness for assuming a leadership role. Notably, with progression through the grades, there's increasing report of having been affected by discrimination based on race, and also on the basis of ethnic origin, politics, and socioeconomic status. Male respondents are significantly less likely to report that they sleep less than 6 hours on school nights. Male respondents report spending less time on social media. Respondents who identify as Black are significantly more likely to report experiences of discrimination based on race. Students who identify racially or culturally as Middle Eastern are much more likely to report having been affected by discrimination based on religion. These next 5 slides display an outcome that I've seen at many other times when I've done comprehensive surveys of students. Call this a saddle effect, where we see those who spend more than 3 hours on homework offer similar ratings to those who spend less than an hour on homework. The question is why? Total speculation on my part, but I'm thinking that those who spend more time on homework, more than 3 hours, are less able to be fully engaged and hence fully satisfied because they're in part paralyzed by their volume of homework. And those who do less than 1 hour of homework, perhaps by choice, are lesser engaged at their own discretion. This same saddle effect shows in this slide. I feel that I gain meaningful positive value from being a member of the school community. And also, the school encourages a love of learning in me. And there is at least one trusted adult I can talk to at school. The saddle effect is also apparent in self-appraised preparedness for organizing time effectively. A full set of graphs is appended, crossed by the number of hours spent daily on social media. Those who spend more time on social media, especially those who spend more than 5 hours each day, that's a frightening thought, isn't it, offer lower ratings throughout the attitudinal and preparedness measures. Those who spend more time on social media are also more likely to indicate that they have been affected by experiences of discrimination at school, in particular based on race. Hours of sleep decline steadily with progression through the grades. Those who report sleeping less than 6 hours on school nights also report spending more time on homework. Regression analysis was applied for better understanding of how survey measures connect to one another. We're going to show you 5 of these examples in the next few slides. The top 5 statistically significant predictors of general satisfaction, collectively explaining 43.3% of variability in that measure, general satisfaction, are: I feel a strong sense of belonging at the school. I feel well supported at school as I strive to meet my potential. The school encourages a love of learning in me, I feel that I gain meaningful positive value from being a member of the school community, and hours of sleep. The top 5 predictors for I feel a strong sense of belonging at the school, and remember, this is a community and belonging survey, collectively explaining 55.8% of variability in that measure are: I feel that I gain meaningful positive value from being a member of the school community. I feel respected and valued at school. I feel emotionally safe while at school. I have at least one close friend at school, and I am enthusiastically involved in out-of-classroom activities. The top 5 predictors for I feel respected and valued at school, collectively explaining 67%, that is huge, of the variability in this measure are: I feel that I gain meaningful positive value from being a member of the school community. I feel emotionally safe while at school. I feel encouraged to express my opinion. I feel treated as an individual with unique needs, interests, and talents. And I feel a strong sense of belonging at the school. The top 6 statistically significant predictors for agreement with the statement, I feel emotionally safe while at school, collectively explaining 55% of the variability in this measure are: I feel respected and valued at school. I feel a strong sense of belonging at the school. I'm better prepared for making choices that support my emotional well-being. I feel well supported at school as I strive to meet my potential. I feel capable of handling the day-to-day academic workload, and I feel encouraged to express my opinion. And the final regression summary I'd like to present for you. The top 5 predictors of I feel that I gain meaningful positive value from being a member of the school community, collectively explaining 65.2% of variability in this measure are: I feel respected and valued at school. I feel that I make a meaningful positive contribution to the experience of others within the school community. I feel a strong sense of belonging at the school. I feel well supported at school as I strive to meet my potential. And the school encourages a love of learning in me. And now for my list of recommendations. Number 1 is always number 1. If you don't share, nobody's going to participate next time you do a survey. Broadly share an overview of this survey's results within the community, especially with the students, also with parents and with teaching faculty. These results should inform and advance many important conversations over the coming year. How actionable this recommendation is remains to be seen, but it's one I make regularly. Advance conversation with students, parents, and teachers on the topic of attaining adequate sleep. Associations with inadequate sleep are both wide-sweeping and profoundly negative. Good luck in operationalizing this one, but take a swing at it just the same. Engage with students and families in an effort to reduce time spent on social media. From all measures in this survey, there are no positive associations, only negative. I don't often make recommendations that touch on programmatic items because it's not my area of expertise. That said, intentionally create opportunity to nurture in students curiosity, passion, and engagement. These 3 are key correlates to sense of belonging, time and stress management, and facing challenges with confidence. Similarly, intentionally create opportunity for students to become better decision makers. Making choices that lead to emotional well-being and time management skills should be prominent in this effort. Students who rate themselves well prepared on these fronts offer consistently stronger ratings throughout the entire survey. Study the key correlates to reported overall satisfaction in the student experience. This exploration should include attention to both workload stress and the numerous survey elements reflecting the social, emotional student experience. There's a whole section in the analysis of findings report dedicated to this study. Study the very strong positive associations between feeling respected and valued and virtually every other measure in the survey. Advance conversation on the role of discrimination experiences as they relate to, but not only to, sense of belonging and derived value from being a member of the school community. Closely review the many lower ratings coming from those who identify as members of the LGBTQ2S+ community. Review the 13 appended sets of select graphs detailing distinctions across subgroupings. Review the 24 appended mini PowerPoint presentations, each briefly detailing ranked correlations among the 5-point rating type measures. And finally, refer to the appended best scores report, cross-tabulations, and comparative cross-tabulations, perhaps 500 pages worth of data, as points of reference. Thank you for your patience. I hope this was of value for you. Your next step in the exploration should be to read through the analysis of findings report. Have a wonderful day.